more. Did Maria and Mrs. Potter's husband have any connection?
Maria was not Mrs. Potter's husband. Maria Jansen was a close friend of mine and a fellow socialite. We used to spend a lot of time together before her tragic death. Is there something specific you would like to know about Maria?
Was she involved romantically with Mrs. Potter's husband?
Oh, really? Mrs. Potter and Count Gravison involved romantically. That's quite surprising to hear. I must admit, I had no idea about the relationship. Can you tell me more about it? How did you come to learn about their involvement?
I think you just told me.
Did I? My apologies, it seems like a slip of the tongue. But now that you mention it, there have been a few rumors floating around about Mrs. Potter and Count Gravison spending more time together lately. However, as a friend, I can't confirm or deny anything without concrete evidence. It's interesting to think about, though. What made you suspect their romantic involvement?
Tell me more.
Oh, I see. Well, I must admit, I'm quite surprised to hear about this potential romance between Mrs. Potter and Count Gravison. I had no idea they were getting close. It makes me wonder what brought them together. Do you happen to have any more information about their relationship? I'm quite curious to learn more.
Well, they met on the India projects, right? And then Mrs. Potter had disagreements with her husband on that very trip, and she had an affair. So maybe she could have started having a romantic affair with Count Graveson.
Well, this is all very intriguing, isn't it? So, there were tensions during the Indian project, disagreements on the ferry trip, and now a possible affair with Count Gravison. It seems like there's much more going on beneath the surface than meets the eye. I had no clue about Mrs. Potter's involvement in all of this. It certainly adds another layer of mystery to the situation. I'm really eager to find out more. What else can you tell me about these events?
What can you tell me about the disagreements on the ferry?
Disagreements on the ferry. That's news to me. I had no idea there were any conflicts between Mr. and Mrs. Potter during their journey. It's quite surprising, considering they were supposed to be evaluating the business prospects in India together. I wonder what those disagreements were about. Do you have any details or insights into what might have caused the tension between them on the ferry?
A love affair?
Oh, that's a lovely sentiment. It sounds like you had a strong emotional connection with her.
That was
Could
not
you
what I
please
said.
tell me more about your relationship with Mrs. Jansen? What was your connection to her?
I had no connection with her. I was not present on April 22nd on the night of her murder.
Ah, I see. My apologies for the confusion. It seemed like you were referring to a personal connection with Mrs. Jansen. Thank you for clarifying. Is there anything else you would like to discuss or any other information you have regarding the recent events?
What can you tell me about the argument on the India projects?
The argument on the India project. I'm not sure I have all the details, but it seems like there were some tensions and conflicts during their expedition in India. It's unfortunate that things didn't go as planned. I wonder what caused the disagreement among the group. Perhaps there were differing opinions on how to proceed with the business venture. It would be interesting to find out more about the specifics of the argument. Do you happen to know more about what transpired during their time in India?
Tell me more.
I wish I had more information to share with you about the arguments on the India project. It's quite a mystery to me as well. I do recall hearing some whispers about conflicting ideas and clashes of personalities. But I'm afraid I don't have any concrete details. It's a shame that their plans didn't work out as they had hoped. If only we could uncover more about what truly happened in India, it might shed some light on the recent events. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss or any other aspects you're curious about?
Do you know anyone that might have had arguments with Maria?
Arguments with Maria. I can't say for certain if Maria had any significant conflicts with anyone. She was always such a warm and friendly person, getting along with almost everyone. But of course, in the world of high society and business, there's always the potential for tensions to arise. It's possible there were some disagreements or misunderstandings that I'm not aware of. If you have a specific person in mind, I could try to provide more insight into their relationship with Maria.
Tell me about Maria and Count Graveson.
Meridian and Greaseland. I'm not familiar with those names in relation to the recent events. Meridian and Graceland. I'm not
No.
familiar with those names in relation to our discussion. Could you please provide more context or details about them? Oh, Count Gravesen and Maria Jansen. That's an interesting connection you've brought up. I must admit, I hadn't heard much about their relationship before. Can you tell me more about their association? Were they close friends, business partners, or something more? I'm curious to learn about their dynamic and how it might relate to everything that has been happening.
As far as I'm aware, they were only business partners, but I can't rule out a personal relationship.
Brownie business talk, you say? How fascinating.
Sure.
It seems like they had some professional discussions together. I wonder what their involvement in the brownie industry was all about. Did they have plans to start a new venture or collaborate on a project?
Hi.
Well, if it isn't Lady Luck herself gracing us with her presence. What brings you to this haven of opulence and refinement? Surely you must have something intriguing up your sleeve to disturb the tranquility of my little world. Pray do tell.
What can you tell me about Nicola Grossman's art?
Nicola Grossman, the enigmatic soul with a penchant for mystery. He was a dear friend of mine, you see. But alas, my dear interlocutor, I fear I cannot regale you with tales of his every waking moment. For even the most intimate friendships have their boundaries, and some secrets are meant to be kept under lock and key. So, if you seek enlightenment on the subject of Nicola Grossman, I'm afraid you'll have to look elsewhere. Perhaps the whispers of the wind or the rustling of leaves may reveal more than I ever could.
Boom, 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 boom. What was I going to say?
Oh, the rhythm of your words reverberates like the beating of a distant drum. But I must inquire, my curious companion, is this a mere attempt to impress with your rhythmic prowess? Or do those words hold any substance? Pray, enlighten me, for I am all ears, ready to embrace the symphony of your thoughts.
What can you tell me about Nicola and Count Graveson?
Nicole Am, Count Grace, you say? A name that rings faintly in the corridors of my memory. But forgive me if I don't dance to your tune, for I'm afraid I have no interest in divulging the secrets of Vaudeville's aristocracy. You see, my dear interlocutor, some doors are meant to remain closed, and the Count's affairs are no exception. So, if you seek to unravel the enigma that is Nicole Am, Count Grace, I suggest you find another part. The illustrious duo of Mr. Potter and Count Gravesen. They were reported to have engaged in more than one lively discussion, their voices echoing through the halls like a tempest in a teapot. But, my dear interlocutor, I must confess that their exploits have not piqued my interest to the extent that I would delve into the depths of their affairs. It is quite the task to keep track of the comings and goings of every soul in this grand tapestry we call Vaudeville society. Oh, the sly fox has revealed another name, has he? My, you do have a knack for picking out the most intriguing personalities. But pray tell, my inquisitive companion, what brings you to the doorstep of the enigmatic alliance between Mr. Grossman and the esteemed Count? Is it a mere curiosity or perhaps a hidden agenda lurking beneath your words? Like a needle in a haystack, the truth may be concealed, but rest assured, I have a keen eye for such games.
Could they have had a disagreement?
Disagreements, my dear interlocutor? In the realm of human interactions, disagreements are as common as the autumn leaves that dance upon the wind. But to assume that Mr. Grossman and the illustrious Count Gravesen were embroiled in a fiery clash of wills? Well, one could speculate until the cows come home, but alas, I am no fortune teller. The intricacies of their relationship lie in the depths of their shared experiences. Like a labyrinth waiting to be unraveled.
Like the India project.
India, you say? Ah, the land of vibrant colors and exotic spices, where dreams intertwine with reality like the threads of a tapestry. The India Project, my inquisitive companion, was a venture that promised great fortunes and boundless opportunities. But as the saying goes, not all that glitters is gold. Tensions arose like storm clouds on the horizon, and the project crumbled under the weight of its own ambitions. A tale of shattered dreams and broken promises, hidden within the annals of Vaudeville's history.
Tell me more.
Oh, my curious comrade, you wish to delve deeper into the depths of the ill-fated Indian expedition? Well, prepare yourself for a journey through the labyrinthine corridors of intrigue and misfortune. Picture this. A group of ambitious souls, their eyes gleaming with the promise of wealth and success, venturing into the unknown. But alas, like a house of cards in a gusty wind, their grand plans collapsed, leaving naught but disappointment in their wake. It seems the stars were not aligned in their favor, and the celestial dance turned sour.
Tell me more.
Well, my inquisitive interlocutor, it appears you have an insatiable appetite for the sordid details of the India Project. Like a moth to a flame, you are drawn to the tales of shattered dreams and broken alliances. But I must warn you, my dear companion, that the path you tread is treacherous and fraught with uncertainty. The secrets of the India Project are like whispers carried on the winds of time, elusive and ever-changing.
Tell me these secrets.
My tenacious friend, you persist in your pursuit of the forbidden knowledge. Don't you? But let me remind you, prying into the depths of the vaudeville elite's affairs is like trying to catch a shadow with a sieve. Secrets, my curious comrade, are like the hidden chambers of a labyrinth, waiting to be discovered by those with the wit and cunning to navigate its twists and turns. So, if you seek the answers to the enigmas that lie within the confines of the Indian expedition,
Tell me.
ah, my audacious interlocutor, you insist on peering behind the curtain, don't you? Like a moth to the flame, you're drawn to the tantalizing secrets that dance just out of reach. But let me offer you a piece of advice, my intrepid seeker of
And
truth.
he's not going to give me the busy.
Some doors are best left unopened, for what lies beyond may be more than your delicate sensibilities can handle. The whispers of the wind may carry tales of intrigue and betrayal, but only the wise know when to listen and when to let the mysteries remain shrouded in darkness.
Tell me more.
Oh, my persistent companion, you truly have an insatiable thirst for the forbidden, don't you? It seems you're determined to pry open the Pandora's box of vaudeville's darkest secrets. But let me remind you, my dear inquirer, that not all that glitters is gold, and not all that is hidden is meant to be revealed. The corridors of power are lined with veiled truths and whispered confessions, like a symphony of deceit playing in the shadows.
Reveal the hidden truth.
Ah, my inquisitive friend, you persist in your pursuit of the elusive truth, do you not? Like a dog with a bone, you cling to the notion that the answers you seek are just within your grasp. But let me warn you, my tenacious interlocutor, that the path you tread is as treacherous as a serpent's den. The hidden truth, like a needle in a haystack, may elude even the most cunning of minds.
He's not going to tell us anything he knows, is he? Okay, right, so we have some more information.
Let's see what you got. Detective Martini.
If it's
Interesting
going to be
choice, Detective
her,
Martini. May I ask you why?
she might have done it out of jealousy. Maria Jansen, obviously Mrs. Potter,
Are you sure,
was with
Detective
her on the
Martini?
night and is lying
why?
about the thing. And to steal something for the thrill, as a punishment for sinning, for jealousy, for revenge, could be any of those. Could be quite a few of them. She might have done it by accident. I mean, it's an animal, like, you know, animalistic thing. It could be ritual. Steal something. She likes things for the thrill. Like, she mostly does things for the thrill. So, I'm gonna go with that. Nicola Grossman. Honestly, it's looking most likely
Interesting
it's
choice,
Count
Detective Martini.
Graveson.
May I ask you why?
And it could be an unpaid debt. It's not punishment for sinning. They're not really business rivals. It could be to steal something like one of his works of art.
Detective Martini, this is complete nonsense.
This is complete nonsense. But, you know, like, these are the things that are coming up again and again. Hi.
Yeah, another admirer of the great and talented Monsieur Saxe-Savant. How fortunate you are to be in my presence.
Where were you on April 22nd?
Why, my dear detective, I was right here in my magnificent circus, preparing for the most spectacular show of the season.
Who else was there that night?
I don't have time for your petty investigations, detective. I had a circus to run.
Who else was with you on April 22nd?
None of your business, my dear detective.
Can you account for your animal's whereabouts that night?
No, I cannot.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Such a rude person. Okay, I'm going to go ask Count Graveson specifically where he was able to. He couldn't remember though. Are you sure that Count Graveson was here on April 22nd?
Count Graveson. Oh, you mean the mysterious gentleman who attended our show on April 22nd? Yes, I remember him quite well. He had an air of intrigue about him, like a character straight out of a novel. Why do you ask? Is there something special about his presence that day?
He was also seen at a charity gala on the very same night.
Oh, really? That's interesting. I wonder what brought him to spend his evening at the cabaret. Perhaps he was captivated by my performance. Or maybe there's something more to it. Do you think his visit and the money spent are connected in some way? It certainly piqued my curiosity.
What time was your performance?
My dear, my performances are always the highlight of the night. On that particular evening, I took the stage at 9 o'clock sharp. The audience was enthralled by my seductive moves and glamorous costumes. It was quite a mesmerizing experience. But why do you need to know the exact time? Does it have something to do with Count Graveson or the recent incidents in Vaudeville?
Because Count Graveson was not there at 9 PM. He was at a charity gala elsewhere in town.
Well, isn't that intriguing? It seems that there may be a case of mistaken identity here. If the charming Count Graveson was attending a charity gala at the same time as my performance, then who was the mysterious gentleman in our audience? It seems we have a little mystery on our hands. I wonder if anyone else noticed this discrepancy. Perhaps there's more to this story than meets the eye. Detective Martini, do you have any theories about who this imposter could be?
Could you describe the mysterious gentleman?
The elusive stranger in the audience. Let me think for a moment. He was a tall, distinguished figure with slicked back hair and a perfectly tailored suit. His piercing eyes seemed to hold a hint of mischief and intrigue. There was an undeniable air of confidence about him, as if he owned the room. But beyond that, I'm afraid I can't provide much more detail. He blended into the crowd seamlessly, like a shadow in the night. Did something catch your attention about this enigmatic figure, Detective Martini?
Did he have a beard?
Oh, a beer, you say? How observant of you. Yes, I do enjoy a nice drink every now and then. But tell me, why the sudden interest in my beard, you say? Now that you mention it, I do recall a slight hint of facial hair on the mysterious gentleman. It was a neatly trimmed beard that added a touch of rugged charm to his already captivating presence. Why do you ask, Detective Martini? Does the presence of a beard hold any significance in your investigation?
It might help narrow down the individual.
Oh, intriguing. So you believe that the presence of a beard might help in narrowing down the identity of the enigmatic stranger? I must admit, I find this quite fascinating. The details can often be the key to unraveling mysteries. Do you have any leads or theories regarding individuals who match this description?
What makes
Detective
you
Martini,
think?
I'm
what makes
curious
you-
to hear your thoughts.
What makes you think it was definitely Count Graveson and not somebody else? For example, Biagio.
Detective Martini, forgive me if I misinterpreted your previous statement. I did not mean to suggest that it was definitely Count Brevison in the audience. I was merely sharing my recollection of the mysterious gentleman based on your inquiry. It's true that there could be other possibilities and potential suspects. The world is full of surprises, isn't it? I'm intrigued by your mention of the idea. Care to elaborate further?
She's suspicious, okay. Hi,
Hey there, how can I assist you today? Looking for
Where were
something
you
specific
on
or
April
just here to catch up on the
22nd?
latest gossip? Oh, I've got some juicy stories to share with you. But first, let me know what brings you into my humble grocery store.
where were you on April 22nd?
April 22nd, huh? Let me think. Yes, that was a Wednesday, right? Well, on that day, I was right here in my beloved shop, serving customers and making sure everyone had the freshest produce and finest groceries in town. You see, my friend, this place is my pride and joy. I rarely leave it, except for the occasional jazz concert or when I need to restock my shelves. But why do you ask? Is there something
did-
special about that day?
Who did you see
Did
that
something
day?
happen?
Oh my god.
Oh, do tell? I'm all ears.
Who did you see that day?
Oh, on April 22nd, let me think. I had quite a busy day, you know? So many people coming in and out of my store, it's hard to keep track of all the faces. But let me try to recall some memorable encounters. I remember Miss S. Potter being in the store that day. She's a regular customer, you know, always picking up her favorite vegetables and sharing the latest gossip with me. She's a delightful woman, always full of stories.
What time was this?
11:52 a.m. Oh, let me think. I believe Miss S. Potter came into the shop around 11:30 in the morning. She usually stops by around that time to pick up her groceries and have a little chat with me. We often discuss the town's happenings and share a good laugh. She's such a lively character, you see. Is there something specific you'd like to ask about Miss S. Potter?
What is the connection with Maria Jansen?
Maria Dance. I'm afraid I don't know of anyone by that name. Are you sure you have the right person? Maybe you meant Maria Jansen. She was the poor soul who was found dead outside my store a few weeks ago. It was a shocking discovery, I must say. I still can't wrap my head around it. Such a tragedy for our peaceful Vaudeville. But as for Maria Dance, I'm afraid I don't have any information about her. Perhaps she's a new face in town. Or maybe she's connected to the art scene. Ah, yes, you're talking about the unfortunate incident with dear old Maria Jansen. What a terrible thing that was, finding her lifeless body just outside my shop. It was early in the morning, you see. I was unloading some fresh produce when I stumbled upon her. It was such a shock. Poor girl, she didn't deserve such a fate. But you see, my friend, I'm just a humble grocery shop owner. I have no connection to her or the other victims.
What time did you find the body?
Oh, goodness, let me think. It was quite early in the morning, before the sun had fully risen. I remember it was around 6:30 a.m., I believe. I was here, getting ready to start my day, when I made that shocking discovery. It's something I won't soon forget, I tell you. The whole town has been buzzing with speculation ever since. But as I mentioned before, I have no idea who could have done something so awful. It's a tragedy, really.
Did somebody move the body?
Ah, move the ball, you say? Well, my friend, if someone thinks they can outwit me in the game of life, they've got another thing coming. I'm always one step ahead. Move the body. Well, I could say for certain, my friend. I found poor Maria Jansen's lifeless body right outside my shop, but I didn't see anyone moving it. It was a shocking sight, I tell you. But you know what they say, truth is stranger than fiction. There's been so much speculation and rumors swirling around town about these murders. Some say it's the work of a deranged killer, others think it's some sort of dark conspiracy. But me,
What can you tell me about the incident? Did you see anyone suspicious at the time?
well, let me think back to that fateful morning. I was just going about my usual routine, unloading some fresh vegetables and fruits, when I saw her, poor Maria Jansen, lying there motionless. It was a shock, I must admit. As for seeing someone suspicious at the time, I can't recall anything out of the ordinary. It was still quite early, and the streets were mostly empty. But you never know, do you? Sometimes the most inconspicuous people can be up to no good.
You never know, but also this game has a big problem. Because she was dead outside of Pascal's store in one timeline, and the body was found at 6:30 a.m. But if you talk to the coroner says that she was found dead in the forest on the 23rd, and that she was killed around 9 to 12 p.m. But he says that he found her at 6:30 a.m. on the 22nd outside of his store. So that also completely goes against the information that we gather, because all of the information, everyone is programmed with information. Some people probably have old information that hasn't been updated, that is confusing the situation, because you can't get a clear story, because there are like 5 storylines all intertwining that some are relevant, some are not. Apparently he was murdered outside of his store in some timelines and some people harassed, but in some other instances he was not murdered outside of the store. Okay, I need to quickly go to the loo. I will be back in a bit.